No end in sight for the conflict in Gaza. The latest strikes, a hospital and a park. And as you can imagine, heavy casualties among children. We have live team coverage with both sides of this story. Developments in the Ukraine crisis will bring you up to date on renewed fighting near the Malaysia Airlines crash site and a claim of new evidence of Russian involvement.
Live from Washington, this is CCTV News.
Welcome to CCTV America. I'm Susan Roberts. We begin in Gaza with an attack that killed young children playing in a park. 10 people, 9 of them children, lost their lives. Another strike on a nearby hospital wounded several people. Israel has denied responsibility and blamed Hamas, and the Israeli military is now reporting 9 of its soldiers had been killed in separate attacks. Noor Harazeen is live in Gaza City for us. Noor, what can you tell us about the attacks at the park and hospital?
Well, what happened is that at exactly 5 p.m. Sunday, me and the crew, alongside of another TV's crews, were on the top of our building, and we witnessed what happened. Basically, there was few Israeli warplanes hovering over the sky in Gaza, and suddenly we heard 2 explosions. The first one happened in a beach camp, which is the one of the biggest refugee camps in the Gaza Strip, and the missile landed exactly in a street between the Palestinian, homes and between the park where many children were playing, as it's the Eid day. Most of the children were out enjoying their day with their families in the garden. The number of the children killed in this attack was 10 children, and more than 50 were wounded. A minute after that, we heard a second explosion, and we saw the smoke coming out of the clinics of Shifa Hospital. As you can see behind me, if you can see behind me, there is lightning flares being dropped on eastern Gaza in Shijaiya and Zaytun districts right now, as you can see behind me. Going back to the hospital and park, the Palestinian death toll in these attacks were separated: 10 children and 50 injuries in the park, 1 Palestinian killed, and 20 injuries in the hospital.
Noor, what are the Palestinian officials saying about these attacks and the accusation from Israel that Hamas is responsible?
Well, yes, there were several statements published by the Palestinian Interior Ministry and also Sami Abu Zuhri, an official in Hamas. They blamed the Israeli forces for this attack, saying that the resistance is not responsible for this attack, and they listed some points that saying that it proves that it is not Hamas and not Hamas missiles that caused this incident. Let me just list you some of them. First of all, they're saying that they have footage that were taken shortly after the attack that shows the shrapnels and the rockets in the incidents, and they also got some of these shrapnels, and they're going to publish this footage proving that these missiles are Israeli missiles fired from Israeli warplanes. They also said that the rockets give a sound before landing, at least like few seconds, 10 seconds before landing, or 20 seconds. There is a voice of the handmade rockets that they're going to hit a place, and this did not happen. The missiles landed without any voice. Also, the last thing that they said is that they started comparing between what is happening in the Palestinian side and what is happening on the Israeli side. They said that the resistance are targeting and fighting against Israeli soldiers, but the Israelis are fighting and attacking civilians, including children. This were the latest statements from Hamas.
Noor Harazeen, thank you so much. Our team coverage continues now, Noor, with CCTV's Rowie Ruttenberg, and he's live in Tel Aviv. Rowie, Israel has denied responsibility for these attacks. What are officials there saying?
Indeed, they blame Palestinian factions for having fired failed rockets, which they say landed in the area of the hospital and that park. And we know that that operation, the exchange of fire from both sides, is continuing now. In the last few minutes, we saw some pictures in the sky, rockets apparently coming from Gaza into Israel. We know there were some sirens in cities in Israel, and of course, continued Israeli airstrikes on Gaza. The Israeli military just a few hours ago saying that it was telephoning residents in various parts of Gaza, specifically northern Gaza, telling them to evacuate their homes and head towards Gaza City. And also on Monday evening, the Israeli Prime Minister addressed the country in a televised address, saying that this was a painful day, and also saying, quote, "We will not finish the mission, we will not finish the operation without neutralizing the tunnels, which have the sole purpose of destroying our citizens and killing our children." Those words from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Those tunnels, of course, a key concern to the Israeli military, it says. And now a new report that Israel knew back in July of 2013 that there may have already been as many as 38 tunnels in Gaza coming to Israel. Israel using this opportunity, it says, to destroy many of those tunnels, which it says are meant as a underground web, a maze that leads into Israel to terrorize Israeli civilians.
Rui, we understand that 9 Israeli soldiers have been killed. What more can you tell us about this?
Well, we're hearing different numbers here in Israel. We heard that there was 5 killed on Monday. Of course, I should remind our viewers that this information in Israel goes through a military censor, and the numbers that are released domestically might be different than the ones that are being reported abroad. But Israel confirming that 4 soldiers were killed in a cross-border operation in Israel. They say when militants from Gaza used one of those tunnels to reach the area of Nahal Oz in southern Israel, in the Eshkol area there, and they say the 4 soldiers were killed in a crossfire exchange, 6 others injured. And the Israeli military also confirming on Monday night that 1 more soldier died in operation in Gaza. This, of course, is a much higher death toll count for the Israeli military than a similar 3-week offensive that included a ground incursion back in 2008 and 2009. And when I spoke to Israel's military spokesman, he told me that they were prepared for a higher death toll, noting, as he said, the advanced techniques, training, and support that Hamas and other factions in Gaza have received over the years. Also, the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, on Monday responded to calls from the UN, from UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, calling for more assistance for Gaza and for the end of the violence, for a ceasefire, saying that the international attention should focus its efforts on demilitarizing Gaza. That, he said, would help bring about an end to Israel's operation.
Rui Rettenberg reporting live from Tel Aviv. Thank you so much.